my friends, my name is Lindsey and I run the blog Books for Christian Girls, and welcome back to the little corner of the internet where I talk mainly about Christian fiction. Today I'm adding in clean fiction because it is a recent read and I'm actually filming this a little earlier than I typically do, so I only have 11 books to talk about. But hopefully that means this video then won't be near an hour long like my typical recent reads are when I talk about 18 to 25 books. So fingers crossed for that. Let's go ahead and get started. I am going to do this a little differently though because there is only 11 books. I have these organized from Christian fiction, lowest rated to highest rating, and then clean fiction with a classic thrown in, which will be again lowest rating to highest rating, and hopefully in this video on a good note. I will put the parentheses of what the genre is, so you can skip around if you're only interested in that one. But I'm just going to kind of do them all together and just organize them by star rating instead. Typically, you know, I would do it this category, this subgenre, this genre, but because there's only 11, I'm just going to do it this way instead. So hopefully that works out, and let's get started. As always though, I will have all the links to the reviews. For Christian fiction, they are going to be very in-depth, full content reviews, and then the clean fiction is going to be more of just like the main broad content, just to let y'all know that. So I will be linking those down below. Now, with that out of the way, we can get started. So for Christian fiction, the first book I have is unfortunately a 1-star, and that is a historical book, and that is If the Boot Fits by Witemeyer. I know that's an unpopular opinion on here, and I'm so sorry because I know I have friends who enjoyed it. I just personally, I was liking it quite a bit at first, and how cute the romance was, and this is a very loose Cinderella retelling, but gender swapped, so our guy is the Cinderella, if you will, and then our main girl is the wealthy one. And I really was liking a lot of aspects of it, and then something entered in and I was like, oh, I don't really care for that content. And then towards the end there was a twist. I guess you could say it was a twist. I saw it coming, unfortunately. But there was that, and how that all just happened and reading about everything was so heavy to me. My whole heart just felt heavy, and I'm trying to avoid books that do that because my heart can feel heavy on a normal basis just with normal life. So I really tried to avoid that, and the more I just thought about this book, the sadder it made me feel. And content wise, I wouldn't recommend it for BFCG's target age of 9 to 19, and I don't think I would recommend it at all, really, because of that twist at the end. It's just thinking about it, my heart is aching. Really, it really truly is. It was just so unfortunate. I was so disappointed. I don't really know what to tell y'all besides it is that reverse Cinderella retelling, very light, set in Texas, 1880s. Had such a cute premise to it, but when secrets were revealed and that kind of thing, it just got to be too much. So I will give that the triggers for this book would be affairs, infertility, and then mentions of sexual assault that came from manipulation. And so there was all that, and just the first two were very prominent towards the end, and it was just really sad. It was really sad. Not actually sad, but to me it's just, it hurt my heart. I don't know really else how to explain it. I DNF'd the first book in the series due to content and just being very disappointed in how that Snow White retelling was, with the wicked stepmother being, how can I say that, very she was seducing men, okay? So I was like, okay, I'm not going to finish that book. And I was still curious about the second book, but it just was very disappointing to me. Will I read the third book? I'm a little concerned too, in all honesty. This series, I had such high hopes for this series because fairy tale retelling, set in Texas, blue bonnets on the cover. It's for me. Literally, that's for me. But the content inside is not for me. So yeah, that was incredibly unfortunate. I'm really bummed about this, I'm not gonna lie. Another Christian fiction book I read was Lone Witness by Rachel Dillon. I actually just finished this one last night, so the details are all very fresh in my mind. And in all reality, I feel like all of these are, because I've read all of these within the last 2.5, 3 weeks. So it's kind of nice to film this video this early and remember the books. But I also just kind of want some of these books off of my mental headspace, so I think that's why I'm filming this video early. But with Lone Witness by Rachel Dillon, this is a suspense book. It's really more of a legal suspense, so I think you really have to be interested in the courtroom, legal stuff. You have to be interested in that. And I am, if that's not the complete part of the book. Or if it is the complete part of the book, then it's got to be a case that I'm really invested in. Like the first book of this series had to do with a pharmaceutical company, and I thought that was very interesting. The characters were very dry, but the plot was very interesting. And in this one, I do feel like the characters were a little more fleshed out than the first book. They still had their very cheesy, poorly timed romance confessions and comments and feelings and all that, but I did overall like the book until the ending. This is another one with an ending kind of, it didn't ruin this book like it did with If the Boot Fits, but I wasn't a fan of the ending, and I was very close to giving it like a 3.5. Not quite a 4, but probably a 3.5, but I bumped it back down to a 3 because I'm not happy with how the ending worked out. Like, yeah, okay, it ended pretty good, but things in the suspense side of it, there was like 3 little twists that I was just like, I don't care for that. I don't like how that ended up. But basically, the main premise of this book is our main girl is Sophie, and she is a prosecutor, and she is trying to get this case against something that could be money laundering happening. There might be something else under the surface, but while she's getting ready to do all of that stuff with that case, she witnesses a murder at a gas station. Actually, 2 murders. And so she becomes the eyewitness of a very important case because the shooter of that crime, the murderer, is the younger brother of a gang member. It's set in Atlanta, and that's gonna pose some challenges. So here comes her new bodyguard, Cooper, and overall it was pretty good. I will say you've really got to be into probably the legal suspense world to enjoy this book because it is very much on the legal suspense side, which I liked. And I was really invested in, and I was like, oh wow, this is interesting because I like that kind of the jury and all that. I like that kind of thing. But the ending I was a little disappointed with, and you do see 5 point of views, and they're very easy to keep apart who is who. But I was a little disappointed by the ending, I'll say. So I liked it, but I probably won't keep this book. So I read a book off my physical TBR, so that was the important thing. Another Christian fiction book I gave 3 stars was The Songbird of Hope Hill by Kim Vogel Sawyer, and I have filmed this little section of this video so many times trying to think of how to explain it and what I liked about it but what I didn't like about it, and I'm really struggling with that. So if I don't make sense, please feel free to check out my full review because I list my thoughts way more eloquently than I ever could in a video. I'm very much a typer, a writer, than I am a speaker. So this book, though, is a historical fiction book that I was actually a little nervous about because it has to deal with prostitution and a main girl who was basically tricked and lured into that career, and just because she had to survive. And so I was nervous about that, and it was also being compared to a couple other books that I didn't like that have very similar threads of that. But I wanted to see how this author would do it because I read so many of her books and I just really enjoy the faith content she puts into her books. And that was definitely the main point of this book, was that you are never too far gone for God's love, that you don't have to be worthy enough for His love. That was definitely the main point of this book, and I really, really liked the faith content aspects of it. Character-wise, I never necessarily felt connected to our main characters. So Birdie is basically rescued from that life at about the 2nd chapter in, and it's by this reverend, his wife, and then their son. And of course the son is the love interest. We know where this is going. You can see that coming from a mile down the way with this kind of book. But it was very sweet. I just never necessarily felt connected to Birdie or the main guy. What was his name? Ephraim? Ephraim. I think his name was Ephraim. It was very biblical. And so I liked aspects of it, like the faith content was really good, but it's definitely not a new favorite by this author. I will say the prostitution details were not really there. I would maybe say it would be considered PG and that kind of things, but I don't know if you really can give a book that has to deal with that topic that rating, because I would say 16 and plus. I would personally recommend it for 16 and up because of those topics. But that's not, then that would be PG-13. But like PG-13 makes it feel like there's a lot more scandalous content, if you will. And I don't feel like this book really had that. You definitely understand what is happening, but like there's nothing on page or like straight up content. I don't know how to word this. Just read my review. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know how to say this. So yeah, I liked a lot of aspects of it. It's not a new favorite book by this author. I probably won't buy a copy, but it was very sweet with the faith content. Another Christian fiction book I read was The Elusive Truth of Lily Temple by Joanna Davidson Politano. So let's first admire the cover. Isn't it gorgeous? Okay, we've got the raw edges. The back cover is pretty too. The spine. I don't like the spine. I'm so sorry to anyone who made it, was involved in it. I do not like the spine. It does not match the prettiness at all. I'm not a fan of the spine. The smell of a new Revell book is lovely, but the spine, I'm not a fan of the spine. Like, this is when you want to display the front, because look how gorgeous this cover is. I think it's so pretty. And the title is Utter Perfection. And you realize that when you get to the end of the book, like it's like, wow, that was a brilliant title for this book. So this is set in 1903, and we follow this silent film actress named Lily Temple. And in one of her recent flickers, one of the recent short movies she's been in, a very special sapphire has been seen. And Peter, our main guy, is an investigator to the wealthy, and he has been tasked to find this special gem that may be rumored to have healing powers and bring happiness to those who have it. So he's been trying to find it, and then it's around Lily's neck. And there goes their friend, kind of, not really their friendship at first, like they become friends, but they have their moments of just kind of a bit of banter and then conversations, but then they help each other out because she's an actress and can help with some of his cases. And it was just a very interesting. Lily was such a multi-dimensional, very unique character. And I just kind of pictured her going around like the cat that got the canary, and the very clever, sly, I meant clever and sly, and I put those together. Sorry, that's not what I meant. Clever, sly, not necessarily suave, but just like she knows more than any other person thinks she does, kind of thing. And I really like that because she's got secrets, of course. She's a silent film actress. Of course she has secrets. And I just really liked her in general. This author's books, though, kind of are a workout for my brain, at least, and I feel like other readers feel this way as well, because the very first chapter is actually set more towards the very end. So I think I figured out that this one, chapter 1, actually was like chapter 39 or 40 or something, and that can be really confusing. But then it goes like a da-da-da-da-da-da-da, let me tell you what happened, and then backwards speed, like reverse backwards, and we're back a couple months later. And that can be a little like, not jumpy, but kind of like you're scrambling to like, wait, okay, hang on. Like you're trying to take in everything she was just saying, and now we're back trying to figure out what's happening. And I think what also really affects like your noggin when thinking this through is that her point of view is in first person, but his point of view is in third person, and that's just very different. That's like switching two different light switches in your brain, right? That's, at least for me, it is. So this author's books are very much a workout, I guess you could say. They work a different part of my brain that typically gets worked when I'm reading fiction books, especially Christian fiction books. So it was very interesting. Overall, I thought it was very interesting. I enjoyed it. An easy 4 stars. Very interesting. Just very interesting. I really liked the behind the scenes of the silent films and like all those details. So of course I did many trails of research afterwards reading this book. But it was very interesting. I did see the ending coming, which was a little disappointing, but it was also satisfying to see that I was right. So there's that. the last book for Christian fiction would be Dawn Chandler by Eliza Noel. This is a really, really sweet middle grade book that I gave 4 stars. Very easy 4-star rating. It is about Dawn, who is 12 years old, and her family has very suddenly decided to pull her out of the public school system and is going to homeschool her. And she's not quite sure about that, and then she's really not sure about the fact that they could be moving to a whole nother city that's kind of more country compared to her city life she's been used to. And it was just really sweet. It's got really good lessons because it's a middle grade book. There's good faith content. It was just overall incredibly just wholesome, very sweet. There wasn't really any big drama as well, which I really like for a middle grade book as well, because I feel like they always have like some crazy thing happen. But this one was just very like, you know what you're getting into in the sense of, okay, she's not sure about being homeschooled. Okay, she's meeting a big new family that's homeschooled and really neat and all that kind of things. It was just really cute. We have a little bit of jealousy that happens with an old friend, but like other than that, there's really not much for me to comment on with the content. There's a couple things about crushes and could potentially lead to more when they're older, but it was just overall really cute. I have to say, this one was really cute. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to reading the second book in the series. It was just really, really cute, really sweet. I know I keep saying that, but it just felt so wholesome and lovely. And I loved seeing like the positive homeschooler representation and then a happy, healthy, big, large family representation. It was just really nice. Really, really nice. I really liked it. So now we're going to go into clean fantasy books, and I have a handful for that as well with one classic. So the first book that I gave the lowest star, I put this as a 2. I don't know if it really is a 2, but that would be Mask of Deception and Sacrifice by Callie Thomas. This was just a fantasy Kindle Unlimited 250-page book I picked up, and I wasn't sure what to expect, but it sure wasn't this. It was interesting. It was very interesting. The main premise is that our girl, there is magic in this book, and she basically is an illusionist, which means she can alter her appearance with illusions and change what other people see, basically. She can alter that. And how the author explained all that, I thought it was very interesting. It wasn't info dumping at any time, really. Well, okay, maybe a little bit, but it wasn't. It was paced very well in that regard in explaining, and then it did have where her gift came from Ruha, I'm going to pronounce it that way, which you could definitely tell was supposed to be a symbolism for God. So I did like those aspects. Elsewise, so she is the princess of a kingdom that's been taken over, and she's basically been held prisoner. They don't realize she's the princess, though. They just see that she has dark hair, which a lot of the people of that kingdom had dark hair, and they're like, oh no, she's a spy, she's got to be evil, da-da-da-da, so they lock her up. They treat her terribly, so there is a heads up for that. And then she is basically given this mission that you need to make this monster drink out of this special chalice, and if you succeed, within 3 days we won't kill you. And like, you know, there's a lot of, she's treated very poorly, which makes sense because, you know, she's a prisoner. It makes sense, but it's still like, it made me mad. It made me mad in that regard. But of course, the monster is the love interest. And I mean, you could say this is Beauty and the Beast. I would say it's maybe more Phantom of the Opera, and then especially Jekyll and Hyde, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I would definitely see that. And that was the thing, is I really felt like the girl got like Stockholm syndromed by the main guy, because they both were in a similar situation. She kept saying that and we only see her point of view. If we saw his point of view, I would have been so confused. I can already know. But with her, we only see her point of view, and she was very much like oh, we're both prisoners. Oh, we're both trapped. And it's just like, he just tried to kill you. But okay. And then like, I was concerned for her, and I would have told her to, like, you know, blink twice if you need help, which, I mean, she's already being held hostage, but she was too busy fluttering her eyelashes at the guy. So, I did lose my mind with this book. It was honestly kind of weird, and then he's got, like, the split personality thing, so it felt like she was, like, kissing 2 different guys, and it was weird, and he tried to choke her, like strangle her, and she kept thinking about his lips, and I was like, girl, no, this ain't healthy, red flag. And like, sure, you can you can argue like the ending is cute, but this guy was definitely morally gray, and I don't like my men morally gray. Like, it had the who hurt you trope, it had the he literally hates everyone but her, and then the jealous as soon as she mentions another guy's name, and I don't find that cute. I like, what are you, 5? Get over yourself. I don't find it cute. He was very morally gray, so like, you know, if you like that, you might like this one, but I thought it was weird. Like, I think the author's writing style has potential for me to enjoy it, but these characters and how it all worked out, and the ending was like, it was fine, but it also felt kind of a reach, if you will, so I didn't really care for the ending. It had things I did like, but they definitely... They did not make up for the things I didn't like. Mainly the main male character. I didn't like him. He was weird. He was suspicious. He was a walking red flag. But he had dreamy eyes, so there you go. Another little Kindle Unlimited book I picked up was Nobody's Hero by Janeen. I'm not sure how to pronounce this author's last name. And I know I'm not going to say it right, so I'm not going to try. I guess you could say I gave it 2.5. I don't know. It was clean fiction with some mild language, which I don't like mild language, much of that, and not my thing. So I was disappointed by that, and by that I mean like the A word, the D word, things like that. I have it listed in my review. So like nothing like, yeah, no F-bombs, right? But it's still like, oh, I don't really care for that. I don't really care for seeing that. So that did alter my enjoyment of it. Had those not been in there, I think I might have actually given it a 3. I really probably ought to give this one a 2 because of that content, though. That language, I was not a fan of seeing that language. I really need to drop it to a 2. So we're going to say a 2. And I was disappointed by that part. But basically this is a superhero book, and our main girl is a PR assistant, if you will, just like helps in a PR agency to try to help supervillains have a better image, which I thought was a very interesting concept. I don't really like superhero movies or anything, but for some reason I think superhero books are very interesting. I don't know why. So I was curious about this book, and I think it has really good potential. Personally, for me though, I prefer my books to be squeakier than this book was in terms of content. There actually, though, was Christian faith content represented, which I wasn't expecting at all, and I thought was really interesting. And the main guy is kind of a supervillain, but he's more of a, like, I don't want to play by anybody's rule books kind of guy. And so they, of course, they actually know each other prior. They haven't seen each other in years, but then they reconnect, and there's secrets, of course. Secrets. The government's keeping secrets. Other people are keeping secrets. People in powerful positions are keeping secrets. Our main characters are keeping secrets. There's lots of secrets. And I thought it was very interesting. I would potentially read the next book when it releases. But I will say, I hope it's cleaner. Because, I don't know. The main guy's kind of rough around the edges, and I think that's where the cussing mainly was his side. But, yeah. Good potential. If you don't mind cussing, then you may enjoy this book. For me, that did hinder my enjoyment. Another book I read was... Here I go looking it up again. I've had to look this up for the last 3 videos because I can't pronounce this word. Premeditated. Premeditated Myrtle. Premeditated Myrtle. I think I said that right. By Elizabeth C. Bunce. This was really cute. This is a clean, secular, middle grade book. I don't know if I would recommend it for middle grade ages because the main girl, well, she's she's a little bit obsessed with murder, but like not doing it herself, but solving murders, right? So in that way, this was set in 1893, I'm pretty sure. Yes, this was 1893, and I liked a lot of aspects of this book. I will say, though, I probably wouldn't give it to those under 11, 12. I would say this is like right on that cusp of that middle grade young adult cusp age, but it was really interesting. It was really cute. Our main girl, Myrtle's father is a prosecutor. Her mother was a medical scientist, and because Myrtle has grown up reading her mother's journals, because her mother passed away when she was little, it's been a major influence in her life and trying to figure things out. And then with her father being a prosecutor as well, she is just really into that field. And in this book, a neighbor is murdered and we're trying to figure out what all happened, what's going on. This book actually took me by surprise, the ending. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was a very interesting angle. There was just a lot of little things I liked about this book. Overall, I really enjoyed it, and I listened to it as an audiobook, and I mostly liked the audiobook. The narrator did fine, but there are footnotes at the end of it. Like certain parts will have a footnote, and I just thought that was really fun, and that was a little jumpy to listen to, I guess you could say. But overall, I did enjoy this book. I thought it was very interesting. So I picked up the second book, which is How to Get Away with Myrtle. And I enjoyed that one less. I gave this one 4 stars, and then this one I think I gave a 3. My main problem, I think, with How to Get Away with Myrtle was that God's name is taken in vain. And I know it's a secular book, but I still find that really annoying. And mind you, it was only done by adults, but I just didn't care for that aspect. It wasn't necessary in my opinion, and it's just very unfortunate when that happens. So, I mean, I did enjoy the mystery of this one. Like, this one had to do a lot with plants and flowers, which reading it while I was listening to it while I was gardening was very fun. And in this book, there is a jewel thief that happens, a jewel theft, let me rephrase that, a jewel theft that happens, and then there's some suspicious things and then a murder happens. And so it's very interesting, but again, it is that, I don't think I'd recommend this for those under 12. Being double that age, I thought it was very interesting and very humorous because Myrtle, this book it's first person, but it's kind of told like she's telling you the story because of her little footnotes, and it's a cute writing style. I'll definitely be continuing on with the rest of the series soon, but yeah, the second book I didn't like that one as much. Another audiobook I listened to was The Secret Garden by Frances Hodges Burnett. This is just a really pretty edition I have that I just have to share because look how pretty. And then you've got this dainty pattern. It's just such a pretty edition. I feel like this is like a Barnes & Noble something or another. I've had it for years. Yes, Barnes & Noble. It has illustrations that I don't really care for in it, but I read this book. This was quite literally this and A Little Princess. These were the only 2 classics I liked when I was in middle school. I was very much against assigned reading, which is very funny, being such a rule follower that I was then and kind of still am now. But I did not like assigned reading. I did not like being told what to read. So the only 2 books I really remember liking from assigned reading was The Secret Garden and A Little Princess. So I was really curious what I would think of it now as an adult reading it for the first time in oh man, I probably read this when I was like 9 or 10, if not a bit younger. I feel like my mom read it to me and then I read it at one point as well, maybe. But it was very interesting to view it from my adult eyes, I guess you could say. Mary is a brat, okay? So yeah, we got to get that right out of the way there. She's a brat. She says things that definitely would not be considered correct in today's world, but it's a classic book, and that's how it was in the time period. So that's part of history. As much as we don't like it now, that is part of history. So there is that, and she does quickly learn, and her character development happens, and it was just really satisfying to see how much a garden meant to her. Because again, I listened to this book while I was gardening and pulling weeds, and it was just so fun to be pulling weeds while they were pulling weeds, you know, like it was just little things like that. Overall though, I did enjoy it. It was funny to listen to it, and I don't know, I did the audiobook by Josephine Bailey, and I'm not sure how she did on the accents, like the Yorkshire accents, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very fun, very interesting. I did pretty good, I think, understanding them. So, you know, overall, I guess 4 stars. I liked revisiting it. And then my last book for this video is Drake Hall by Christina Baehr. I gave this one a very easy 4 stars. We actually had a really thunderstormy night, and I just stayed up reading it because I can't sleep during thunderstorms. I don't know if that's y'all too, but I've lived through too many hurricanes. I can't sleep when it thunderstorms now. So this one was just so lovely. This is book 2 in the Secrets of Ormdale, maybe is how you pronounce it. I'm not quite sure. But this is a cozy fantasy series, historical fantasy series, very cozy, set in, I think it's like 1899. It's right at that turn of the century. And the first book was Wormwood Abbey. Really enjoyed that one. I've talked about that one before. And that one was just like introducing you to the world and the characters, and it was really in the secrets of Edith's family estate that she's never been to before. And the dragons and the wyverns, I think that's how we say it. And then this book is really like her finding her place at the estate and trying to think about like, oh, everyone says this guy has a crush on me. I don't think so. And then by the end of it, she's like, well, maybe he does. What do I do? And I like that little, like, she's thinking about it. He's got a chance. And I really thought that was cute. It's very light romance, but this book did have the most out of the two. Book 3 just released, and I haven't read it yet. I'm getting to it very soon. I plan to probably next week because I am really excited for that one. And that one's going to be more adventurous, apparently. But I'm looking forward to that one. Just really easy 4 stars. This is just such it's lovely. Like, it's just lovely. I feel like I want more books like this. I really, truly do. I believe the whole series is going to be finished this year. And this is going to be the most bingeable series, I feel like, to read. Because they just flow so well into each other. And they just have, like, I'm loving this historical, cozy fantasy ambiance, this vibe that this series has. That is truly what is selling this book to me, with the author's lovely writing style. I discussed that when I talked about the first book. Love this writing style. It's just so perfect. It scratches my brain just right, as they say on the internet, and I just really, really enjoy that. This book had a lot more vocabulary words I wasn't familiar with, so I did find myself going, okay, what does this word mean? And then I'd look it up and it's like, oh, that is a perfect word for this situation. And it was multiple times like that. It was just really neat. I really, really enjoyed it. Definitely looking forward to the rest of the series. And there we go. That is the stack of, I only own 4 of them. As of ones I would buy, let's discuss that because I enjoy discussing that. Because buying books is so fun. So I would buy Dawn Chandler in paperback, definitely. That was very cute. I want to get that one for my shelf. And then Drake Hall, I definitely will be. Definitely, without a doubt. So those are the 2 I would buy. And I probably will end up unhauling Lone Witness just because the ending was kind of disappointing. So elsewise, we have those. Woohoo! We did pretty good. Only 11 books to talk about today. Hopefully this video... Oh, okay. You know what? It probably is still like over 30 minutes, wasn't it? It probably was. I'm so sorry. But 11 books, some pretty decent books. I feel like this was a really good, like, not great books for me. Not bad. Pretty good. Great. Like, no 5 stars in this video, but I had a few that I really, really liked. So I'm okay with that. And I hope you enjoyed this video as well. Please let me know if you've read any of these. Do you want to read any of these? When was the last time you read a child classic, whether one you consider to be a classic or one that is an actual classic like The Secret Garden? It was really, really weird listening to this one because I'm not familiar. I don't think I ever watched any like the movies or the TV shows, but I did go see once a play about The Secret Garden, and that's what I kept picturing. Like, I haven't thought about that play in years. But when I was listening to it, I kept picturing scenes from that play. It was really weird. It was like, wow, I've never really experienced that before. Like, typically it'd be the movies or whatnot, but I don't think I've watched the movies or the TV shows if there's a TV show. I think there's 2 movies, 3 movies, whichever, of The Secret Garden. I've never watched those. I'm kind of curious to do that now, so if you've watched any of them, let me know which one your favorite is for that as well. If you've read any of these, do you want to read any of these? All my normal questions, but I will see y'all in the comments and we can just chat away about these books and all the other books below. And I will see y'all next time. Thank you so much for watching. I am Lindsey from the blog booksforchristiangirls.blogspot.com, where there is a new review every Monday and Friday. I try to post a new video on this channel every Friday. That's always the goal. Sometimes it's every other, but I've been doing pretty good with every. And then I'm also on TikTok and Instagram and Goodreads and all the many places to talk about books. Here, there, and everywhere. Because I like to talk about books. And I will see y'all next time. I hope you have an absolutely lovely rest of your day. Bye!